Hello, I'm ABXToyCat and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be telling you 10 more things you should know about Minecraft. This is a follow-up to a video I made about a month ago now where I told you 10 things that you probably should know about Minecraft, and people really liked it because although, they're tips I have given out before, I can't expect everyone to have watched every one of the 2,000 plus Minecraft videos I've made now, and basically a lot of people really did like it because they're useful tips you can use every day, and you might know some, you might not know others, and it's a really cool thing because if you do know all of them, you can just sit there and feel smug the whole time and be like, well, I knew all of these already, Toycat. So yeah, hopefully everyone gets something from this video, and if you do, I'd very much appreciate a like on the video because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like it and want to see more stuff like this. But let's get straight into it, shall we? So let's start with the first thing you should know about Minecraft, which comes from the previous comments, because a lot of people are curious as to how I did this thing right here. That's right, I have two single chests next to each other, and those very astute ones will notice these aren't actually two of the same chest, they're two very different chests, because the way you do this is by having two different chests next to each other. So there's actually three types of chests in the game. There's the chest, the ender chest, and then there's the trap chest. So the trap chest and the regular chest have the one very slight difference that this puts out a redstone signal, which makes it a very good trapping tool, and this one does not. But it does also mean that they won't combine into one because they're different blocks, which means if you want to have two single chests next to each other, you can do it like this. But that's not where this ends. This is kind of just a useful little party trick, but this is actually really useful for making mass storage, because usually you have to have big separation blocks between each of your chests, but if you have trap chests next to your chest, you can have very compact storage. As you can see, I've got like a 16 chest block in a very small space of area here, because as long as you have a chest next to every trap chest and a trap chest next to every chest, you can do this just fine, and boom, we've got chests down there, chests everywhere, and that's pretty cool. So just while we're on the subject of chests, they're not actually a full block wide either. I mean, it might come across that way because they're mostly a full block tool, but it also, because they're not the full block, it means you can actually hide things underneath the chest, and a lot of people won't notice them there. So for instance, we have a lever underneath there. This lever is a really basic one that just turns on a light, but you can do more complex things like a secret entrance to a base. So light off, light on, light off. It's pretty cool, I think. But yeah, you can use like secret entrances to bases using that by putting a minecart down there. There's so many cool ways you can use that, and yeah, that's chest and trap chest. Things you should know about them, including the fact that they don't combine with each other. So let's move on to the second thing you should know about Minecraft, which again is kind of based off what people said last time, because I mentioned very briefly that you should always use planks instead of wood, and people are confused as to why that is. And the reason is because you get more efficiency out of turning your wood into planks first. And presumably if you're using wood in your furnace, then you're in a situation, let's just say we only have like, 7 planks remaining, or like 3 bits of wood. You want to be really careful with every single plank, and you don't want to waste them. Along that same line, what you should do is whenever you're cooking using your planks, what you should do is put 2 planks in the furnace for every 3 fuel you cook in there, whether it's iron ore, whether it's anything else. Because if you do it this way, it'll be the most efficient. Because every single plank you put in there will cook 1.5 things. So if you put an odd number in there, you're gonna waste 0.5 planks. And you might think, oh, 0.5 planks, what a big deal. But the reality is, like, if you're cooking with your planks, you're probably being, it's probably important you do that. So along the same lines, if you want to save your coal because you only got a limited amount of that, always cook a multiple of 8 because you get 8 items cooked for every coal. So like in this case, it's 3 of fuel for every 2 blocks. But in coal's case, it's 1 bill of fuel for every 8 blocks. In the case of the bucket, you can get 100 items for that. So get a whole stack in there, take it out, then put another 36 items in there. And in the case of every coal block, you get 80 items, which is more than a single stack. And it means that if you have a block, stack of blocks of coal in there, which takes quite a bit of time to get, you can actually cook 4,800 plus items before it cooks, before it ends up, which is really, really, really insane. And I think that's quite cool. So yeah, there are some things you should have known about furnaces. Hopefully you enjoy them. But let's move on to number 3 here, which is actually to do with food saturation. So I just cooked myself some mutton, right? And this is as good a time as any to bring up the way that saturation and like hunger works, because a lot of people look at a food like cooked mutton, which restores 3 hunger bars, and you compare it to a food like golden carrot, and you think, wait a minute, so they restore the same amount of hunger, but yet this one's easier to get. No one's ever going to use golden carrots. Let's just throw these away, because, these are so much more effort to get. You need to turn gold ingots, you need to have a carrot farm, and the reason as to why they're actually different foods, because there actually is a subtle difference behind the scene, that I don't blame you for not knowing, because saturation is a hidden value the game has that basically determines how long it is until you next get hungry. I ate a golden carrot about 4 minutes before recording this video, and I'm still at max hunger, whereas the cooked mutton has less than half of that value. And the reason the golden carrot is so useful, even though it restores less hunger than steak and then like rabbit stew and so many other items, is because it gives the most saturation in the game. So the best thing to do is to cook the high hunger food values, like cooked mutton, when you need to get up to full. So we'll just eat that when you get, next to full. And then with the very last bit you have, then eat a golden carrot like now. And you'll notice for a very long time, I won't go hungry if I go hungry before the end of the video. So yeah, it's a useful thing for saturation, helps you out when it comes to bosses, PvP, all these sorts of things. It's a tiny little thing that can really help you out if you know it. So saturation's useful, and that's that. So let's move on to the fourth thing you should know about Minecraft, because I guess I could, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know this one, because it's still of the recent enchantment system, or on the PC it's not so recent, but basically the enchantment system is pretty cool as of 1.8, because you know what enchantments you're going to get before you get them. In this case, we know it's going to be Sharpness 4, Fire Aspect 1, and Smite. Let's say we really wanted to get Knockback, or you really wanted to get some other enchantment that we just can't get here. What you might think is like, we'll just take this diamond sword away, because we'll put it back in there again, and do that. So, unfortunately, you can't do this, because there is a seed tied to every single player in the world that basically makes it so that if you want to, the enchantments you get for every tool, like the diamond sword, the gold sword, the iron sword, they're all, specified ahead of time. So even if we get an entirely different sword, it's still going to give us these same three options. We have to pick one before we can move on to the next set. However, what you can do if you have a multiplayer world, or if you just really want an enchantment and you're willing to switch tools, is you can use an iron sword and like, I can get my Fire Aspect on this one. If it wasn't available on the other one, we can get Smite 2 on this one, the enchantment everyone wants. And yeah, basically if you use a different tier of tool, if it's really important, like Silk Touch, that might be quite useful. Also bear in mind that you can actually just get another friend to do this. So let's say that you really, really want to get, your Sharpness 4 on your sword, and you really want to get Fire Aspect 2 on the sword. You're not getting it with your option, so you ask a friend to try. He doesn't get it, you ask another friend. And yeah, that's a way you can kind of sneak your way around those requirements if you want to, and it's just something quite useful you can do. So that's a useful tip you might not have known, but you probably should know about the enchanting in Minecraft 1.8/TU31. So let's move on to the fifth thing you should know about Minecraft. So this is actually to do with breathing underwater, and you'll notice in a lot of my streams, I'm always underwater, but I'm never drowning, and, I don't ever have the respiration enchantment or anything like that. So yeah, there are quite a few ways to breathe underwater. Also, while we're here, you might notice the water's not flowing anywhere. All of these items will stop the water from actually, flowing outwards, even though it doesn't make any sense that the pressure plate's stopping it, or the fence, or that. None of it makes sense, but that's a fun little side fact. So yeah, let's talk about how you can breathe underwater. So the first, most obvious way that you'll learn very, very early on in Minecraft is you can get a respiration helmet. Respiration massively increases the amount of time you can breathe underwater, so the bubbles will go down much slower, and it gives you more than a minute underwater, which is nice, but it doesn't really fix the problem of breathing underwater, because you still have to surface every minute, and that's just inconvenient, because the surface is usually a long time away, especially if you're in like an ocean monument, like I have been in a lot of streams recently, and you don't want to go to the surface every single minute, because it's dangerous to go back to the surface. So how do you avoid this? So there's a few ways to cheese the oxygen system, if you will. And basically, the three items I'd recommend, because they're the easiest, are torches, ladders, and oak doors. So they all have their own uses. I use torches most of the time because it's the easiest, and it just, you instantly go here, you get some oxygen, and you go. So yeah, this is how torches work. You put them on the side of the wall, they instantly give you the torch back, and it's just a free bit of oxygen. However, if you want to be in a certain place for a very long time, and you want oxygen below water for a while, you can use ladders too. These will just stay on the side, and they'll also let you swim up if you really want to do it that way, and it's just kind of handy in that way. So yeah, ladders can also give you a permanent source of oxygen underwater, and if you want a source of oxygen on the bottom of the ocean, you want to bring a door with you, because it's the same permanent source, but, obviously it's a too wide thing, and you just have to go to the bottom, and you're here. So, isn't that handy? I think it's handy, and that's why it is thing number 5 you probably should know about Minecraft. You can breathe underwater if you believe in yourself, or bring torches. Either works, really. So, let's move on to thing number 6 you should know about Minecraft, which is to have Nether portals. So, this is one that's never explicitly told to us by the game, and, you really have to do some precise maths if you want to know, but basically there is a way to know exactly where your, portal will be on the other side of the Nether portal, regardless of whether you're in the Nether or whether you're in the overworld. So bear in mind this is different on the console and on the PC, and something you won't know is that it's different on the console depending on which console, because if you're on the Xbox One large world size or you're on PC, it's going to be 8 blocks for every 1 block in the overworld, because the Nether actually corresponds to the overworld. So let's say right now we're at 103 Z minus 240. That means we're going to roughly be teleported to like minus 34, minus 80, and so because what it does is it divides our coordinates by 3. And that's what gives us our, Nether portal coordinates. And then to get the other way around, so yeah, roughly there, as you can see. And then to do it the other way around, you just multiply your coordinates by 3. Obviously, it's not an exact science. It tries to get you as close to there as you can. But it means that if you want to get a very specific location, so let's make up some coordinates. I want to go to, plus 200, plus 400. I don't know why I'm going there. But what we can actually do is we can divide our coordinates by 3. So plus 200 would be, 66 if we divide that by 3. And then for 400, it'd be 133. So we go all the way up to here, and then we build our portal. It's going to be quite some while away. Then if we make the portal, it'll actually end us up in the place we want to be. So take our obsidian, and let's make this. So yeah, it's a really useful thing you can do, because if you want to have portals at specific places, but you don't want to have to build them in the overworld, because that's a lot of effort, then you can do this and save yourself quite a bit of effort. So there we go. Let's get out these fire charges we have, and let's do this. So boom, let's show you the science. We'll be roughly at 200, 400. Obviously, that you can't even get those exact numbers by dividing by 3, but you'll see that we'll be very, very close there, and it means if you want to get into a specific cave, into a specific this, specific that, you can do that this way. It's also worth bearing in mind that because the Y coordinate doesn't change, it doesn't get divided or multiplied by 3, or 8 if you're on the PC, it means that if you want to go to the bottom of the Nether, make sure you make your portal close to bedrock. If you want to go on the top of stuff and actually see things, what is that? If you want to go to the top of stuff and actually see things, then what you can do is you can obviously go to the top of the Nether. So, sorry, the top of your overworld and build it really high up. So, useful tip that you might not have known right there. And let's move on to number 7, thing you should know when it comes to ghast. So, we'll turn on mob spawning, which is a decision I'll regret immediately, I can tell it. We'll turn on mob spawning for this one, because basically we need to have some ghast to show you why you should use cobblestone when resisting ghast. And in general, how to resist, explosions, because, anything ghast? Okay, there's a ghast. So basically, when a ghast fires an explosion, it makes this massive fire, hole in the ground, and it seems really scary. It seems like they have one of the biggest explosions in the game, but the truth is, they're actually really weak explosions. They're one of the weakest explosions the game can generate, and the only reason that they seem so strong, also, so we only just got hungry after all that regeneration and time and flying and all that stuff. Basically, the reason that, it's the weakest is because that it seems so big is because it's got Netherrack around it. Because Netherrack has a really weak blast resistance. Some blocks, though, have a much better blast resistance. And these are the blocks where I think I want to turn it on peaceful and turn this stuff off, because I'm going to die otherwise. But, oh jeez. Some blocks are actually blocks have a much higher blast resistance, which means if you want to guard your Nether portal, use cobblestone. The reason for this is it has a blast resistance that's something like 30 times higher than the Netherrack, which means if it's hit by a ghast explosion, then it's just not going to fracture, even if it's head on, because it just doesn't do that. So, useful tip you might not have known. Another thing about this that's actually kind of handy is the fact that if you're in the overworld, or even if you're just in the Nether and avoiding creeper explosions or something like that, this same thing does apply, because different blocks have different blast resistances, and you want to use the highest blocks at all time. If you're wondering, the highest blast resistance of any placeable block that's not obsidian, or that's still placeable, is endstone, which is slightly higher than cobblestone, and obsidian has a massive blast resistance, which can only be destroyed by the top tier wither explosion, and then you've also got stuff like anvils and stuff like that, which are really, really strong. So, if you want to make a house that's creeper proof, because I know a lot of people have their worst moments in Minecraft when they're destroyed by creepers, you can make it out of something like cobblestone, prismarine, stone bricks, anything that has a decent blast resistance. So, fun fact you might not have known. Let's move on to number 8, which actually requires us going to an end, which I don't have, or I do have in this world, but it crashes the world because it has 100 end dragons. Don't question that whole thing, just bear in mind we're going to have to jump cut, and then we'll be back for number 8. Okay, so we're in an end that does function now and doesn't crash my world, which is always handy, and I wanted to show you thing number 8 you should know about Minecraft, but might not know, because a lot of people write off snowballs as being entirely useless, but they actually do have quite a few functions, and the best way to show you this is in the end, because this is where a lot of their functions are. So, the first thing, because a lot of people know that snowballs on the PC, if you have certain mods installed on the server, you can actually make them deal knockback to people, but by default in Minecraft, it doesn't work that way. So, what can snowballs do in vanilla Minecraft or Minecraft console, which is obviously always vanilla? So, the first thing it can do is you saw it a minute ago. If you fire them at Enderman, it will make the Enderman teleport away. It's handy if there's just an Enderman there that you want to get rid of him, and it's like, oh, that's kind of awkward. You put some water there, it's a good way to do it too. But also, just snowball, throw one at him, and boom, they just disappear. So, you can make Enderman disappear, or at least teleport away by doing this. Kind of handy. Second thing you can do is you can damage blazes, because even though no mob takes damage properly, besides the end dragon, you can snowball them, and it will take damage, and it means you can kill blazes from a pretty decent distance, using a basically infinite source of damage, because if you take a few stacks of these of you, you'll do pretty well. So, yeah, if you find the Nether really challenging, make sure you bring some snowballs. They're pretty good. You can attack blazes from outside their range, and you don't have to worry about fire. Pretty nice like that. Snowballs are also snowballs are awesome. They do so many things. Snowballs are also great because these things up there, the big end crystals, you can destroy these using snowballs, and because there's so many of them, it's better than a bow and arrow because it has a slightly better trajectory. And I don't know if we even did that right there, but yeah. So I've done this a few times on my Ed speed runs, because if getting a bow and arrow takes a lot of time. There you go, you can see I just destroyed that. Getting a bow and arrow requires a lot of time and stuff, but, having snowballs on you takes next to no time. Plus, they hurt the Ender Dragon too, which is another cool thing they do. So I'll show you right here that they actually will do damage to the Ender Dragon as well as... I don't know why it's only the Ender Dragon and Blazers, but it is. So, yeah, that's okay, it's in the center. So he's getting healed right now, but just you can see it is knocking his health bar the tiniest bit down before coming back up again. So yeah, useful fact you might not have known. Snowballs deal damage to Blazes, the Ender Dragon, they make Enderman disappear, and they're also just pretty useful in general when it comes to the end. So let's move on to the other thing that's pretty important while we're here, because you might be like, okay, so we got an Ender Dragon here. Any tips going to do to him? Yeah, I have a useful tip for boss mobs that honestly I didn't even know about till maybe like 6 months ago, because I assumed it was true because all my testing pointed that way, but it was like, oh, oh, yeah, of course, because potions and the Ender Dragon were roughly introduced at the same time, and I guess they decided that potions would be too OP if they were used against them, or they had like some lore reason, but basically no potion does any effect to the Ender Dragon. So we've got splash potions of harming here, and actually we'll take out the End Crystals just to quickly prove our point, because otherwise you'll be like, well, he's just healing up so far. So there you can see, once we get rid of these last two, all of the End Crystals are destroyed, right? Well, now they are. All the End Crystals are destroyed, so there's no way he's healing up. This is entirely truthful. If now we get this splash potion of harming, we throw them at him massively, does nothing to him. He's immune to all potions, so we get a splash potion of invisibility. It'd be cool to see an invisible Ender Dragon, right? Nope, he's just immune, and you don't see any sparkles coming out of him. So yeah, the Ender Dragon is immune to these potions. And interestingly, the Wither, the other major boss that you'll face, is actually not immune to potions, but a lot of potions have the reverse effect. So if you use a splash potion of harming on a Wither boss, then you're in for a nasty surprise, because it will actually end up healing the Wither. And if you use a splash potion regeneration on him, it does the opposite too, and it actually functions as a harming potion. So if you're going to fight the Ender Dragon, don't bother bringing potions unless they're for yourself. Well, don't harm yourself, but maybe make yourself invisible or something, I don't know. And also bear in mind that, a lot of potions won't work there. And against the Wither, make sure you use the opposite potion for what you want to do. Make sure you bring splash potion of healing and splash potion of weaknesses, and splash potions of healing and instant health, and you'll do pretty well for yourself. So pro tip you might not have known to do with boss mobs. They all react to potions a little strangely, which is weird if you ask me, but that's a thing right there. So let's move on to tip number 10 here, and this is something everyone should know, and I guess it'll be a bit painful in multiplayer, because if everyone knows this, it makes the game a lot more powerful. But basically, everyone should know that Strength 2, the potion, this one right here, is basically OP. So this is a really useful tip I give out whenever I'm telling you how to fight the Ender Dragon or the Wither, because basically this potion is one of the easiest ones to craft. You just need to bring, you need a Nether Wart, you need a Blaze Powder, and you need, glowstone or redstone to make it more powerful. And once you put all those things on it, you'll end up with this potion of Strength 2. So this is 4 minutes right here, which means we have 4 minutes of 260% bonus damage. And you might be like, oh, 260%, that's quite a bit, right? Yes, that means you're going to be dealing more than 3 times your original damage, which is insane to think about, because it means that, usually with a diamond sword, for instance, you're doing, 7 plus your attack, 8 damage. You can multiply that by 3, 24 damage. You can destroy stuff this way. Let me just actually show you against the dragon here. Except he's not going to take damage because he's glitched. But yeah, basically you can destroy mobs. It's so handy for the Wither boss. Like, I've gone into the Wither boss with just iron armor before, and I've won it because this potion of Strength 2 means you can just kill so fast. Basically, the way let's put this in a way that might be easy to understand. The Strength 2 is so OP that if someone offers you a diamond sword with sharpness 2 on it, or they offer you a wooden sword with a Strength 2 potion, you should take the wooden sword and the potion. That's just how serious this difference is. So, yeah, Strength 2, basically OP. They have no signs of nerfing it, so against any PvP encounter, against any big boss, against anything where you're not sure you'll win, bring one of these with you and you tilt the odds massively in your favor. Anyway, yeah, those are 10 things you should know about Minecraft. Hopefully you did all enjoy this video. I know, it's slightly different new format. Let me know if you want to see more in either the comments down below or with a liking rating, and also share the video if you really liked it, and subscribe if you are new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.